Hello and welcome back, everybody. We're preparing for our final match of the day. Team Liquid Academy versus Dignitas Academy. Very exciting stuff, but before we dive into that, we want to take a moment to recap what has happened throughout the entire split so far with our Samsung Fast 5 segment right now. Now, these are stats that have been compiled since day one, and we had a kind of a slow start. I'm not going to lie, with some of the crazy numbers. Last year we got spoiled, so Magical, I'm going to have you walk me through this as soon as it's up on the screen. What are the numbers that are immediately jumping out to you? And give me the Magical take on it, because I know that you got that big brain when it comes to stats, when it comes to itemization, and specifically when it comes to your opinion of players.
I got to look towards the top lane. Fastest 100 CS. Viper, Gamsu are within a second. That's impressive alone.
Wow.
Just saying that they're within 1 second of one another. Both players have been playing, like especially Gamsu has been playing really well. Viper, we've seen highs and lows, and I want to see him play more like how he did earlier today when he had that Akali pick. Unfortunately, wasn't able to pick up the victory, but I like that. But then I also kind of have to look elsewhere, see what else we've got going on for us.
Kenvi.
Yeah.
That's a 30-second
Yeah.
gap. Oh my
I was about
goodness.
to say, that's where my
is
next
fast.
one goes, is that I was going to be like,
Is that the Nidalee or the Kindred game?
I don't know.
would
I mean, it kind
have
of dominated
to
them both.
guess, if I just had to take a shot in the dark, probably the Nidalee, because if I recall, he started at level like what, 2 and 0. So I think it's the Nidalee.
Yeah.
I
Well,
also think that Dokla might be in fastest mythic item after we update for today's games, as he had that Riftmaker, I think, at 11 minutes, which Mad Magical called out. So might be kicking Spyrax down the chain here.
But that. Sure, but I mean, of course, that is for the top laners. Mythic is our favorite set for the mid laners to go for. But this is the Fast 5 for the split so far. Of course, we'll be updating that as we go throughout the rest of the split. But gentlemen, we do have a game and a match ahead of us that we want to highlight as well. Like I said, Team Liquid Academy versus Dignitas Academy. I want to get quick thoughts because I'm hearing that we're already starting to get ready for pick and ban. Gubby, I want to hear from you. Team Liquid, talk to me about this team.
I think the Team Liquid had a much better team identity and strategy yesterday compared to week one. I know that, Rhino was a late incorporation. I know that Coach Spawn was like bummed with how their week one went, but that's a tough ask incorporating a newer player, and especially coming in for someone like Ayla, who really feels like it's the engine of the team and the one that's syncing up with the jungler and everything else to make the plays and the right timers. We started seeing some of that from Armeo and Rhino yesterday, and I want to see if we see more of that today, because Dignitas, I think, has been a pretty big surprise for everyone that they're in the middle of the table. I think majority of fans had this team in the bottom half of Academy, and early in the split, I must say they've really been impressing.
They have absolutely impressed me and a lot of the viewers, and we're going to see them against Team Liquid right now because Champ Select is underway. So, gentlemen, I'm going to pass it off to you. Let's get into the final series of the day.
This is the final series, but it's the series I've been most excited for today.
Ooh.
Looking at Team Liquid Academy versus Dignitas Academy, having Hayri step in yesterday, he looked amazing on that LeBlanc, but I also looked towards the Dignitas. You kind of highlighted amazing there, Cubby. This is the team that has been surprising a lot of people. You look at Eclipse in the top lane, this player has been exciting to watch. XU's been taking a lot of that attention for the entire team, but I still look at Eclipse as a player that's fun to watch. He's someone who's exciting. Apparently, with the team, he's a great dynamic. And then also, I turn my attention to the bot lane, where Spawn is another one of those unsung heroes of a team. The AD carry, the marksman, not really getting as much credit as they rightfully deserve, and Spawn is definitely someone that I can see holding the mantle of carry.
Yeah, I actually appreciate the fact that you're starting to jump into Spawn, because this is an interesting bot lane matchup, given the fact that Yawn and Spawn both came from the same class of Scouting Grounds. So in 2020, Yawn hailing from 100 Thieves Next, Spawn hailing from a former amateur team that we had called Polarace that found a lot of success. And I think both of these marksmen have been performing really well in the early season. LCS fans all even caught a glimpse of how good Yawn looks on that stage as well. I know that first game was a loss. I thought that Yawn played very good in both games he played on that stage, and has been performing very well in Academy as well. Yesterday, the way that Armeo and Rhino were able to play around Yawn and peel for him was really good gameplay out of the entire team from Team Liquid. And want to see if we see more of that today.
That's what I'm expecting to see. With the draft so far, we're seeing a lot of the powerful picks taken away by Team Liquid, with a respect ban to Hayri. Like I said before, his LeBlanc yesterday was absolutely disgusting to watch and see how it was able to perform. He got a lot of early leads, even if he got solo killed essentially by Vex at one point in the game. He was still able to cause a lot of mayhem and mischief when he was able to find his flanks into the back line, while the rest of the table that Dignitas have aimed for, Thresh, Jinx, leaving open Corki, probably going to be Corki Victor. I've been blessed by not having to cast it all week long so far, but I'm expecting to see it.
Bad Magical, I think I have some hope for you. Darkwing's pick into the Corki so far has actually been his Sylas, which he has played twice. I want to see if we potentially see a Sylas from Darkwing.
I prefer that. I prefer that.
Yeah, instead, it looks like Dignitas looking to secure their bot lane some priority. The other two Lethal Tempo marksmen have been taken off the board, so it is going to be the Aphelios locked in. Could see a pairing or could see a priority jungler taken here. Vexu wants one of the playmakers, gonna lock down that Jarvan, and all of a sudden, some nice terrain choke to pair up with the Aphelios. You can take that support on 3, or potentially the Sylas for Darkwings, like this opener for Dignitas, and expect Team Liquid to find some ways to play outside of that Jarvan Cataclysm. Really like the Ezreal Karma here.
There's a lot of poke on the side of Team Liquid Academy so far. With Ezreal Karma in the bot lane, the Corki mid lane, there's a lot of harass that they can lay down onto the short range that has been drafted by Dignitas Academy so far.
And I think importantly enough, like when you're playing in the Jarvan, having ways to navigate that Cataclysm. We've seen how powerful that ultimate can be, especially in the meta where it's a lot of lethal tempo, immobile marksmen. I think taking this Ezreal, having that ability to outrange the Aphelios and get out of the flag and drag is good, but that's why I also kind of like the Nautilus here from JJ. He has played 4 out of his 6 games on Nautilus so far. He's been playing rather well on the champion, which is a good look for JJ. JJ, I think, really excelled on defensive supports last split. Seeing JJ play these man engagers and play them quite well in the early season has been a nice sign of improvement out of a player that's been playing in Academy for longer than the rest of his teammates combined. So I like seeing JJ kind of evolve with this new lineup, and I feel like Dignitas, in this early season, has been not only a surprise with their gameplay, but also shout out to the social media team. The post-game interviews that they've been posting on Twitter have been some of the best content I've seen so far this year between both LCS and Academy.
It's like every time we're trying to get an interview set up with them, I feel bad because I'm like...
I feel like we just need to have them do it.
At first
right?
I felt bad. I was going to say, at first I felt bad because I'm like, we're trying to get them ready. It doesn't work out. But their content is banging, man. I love it.
Yeah. I gotta say that they posted the Globo gym, the dodgeball reference yesterday for their pregame photo, and it was a missed opportunity. You gotta quote dodgeball, right? The social team is not making him look like Frankenstein, but Franken good.
You can dodge a wrench, you could dodge ball, right?
Yeah, I feel like that. Yeah, that was also a no-brainer response. But I gotta dig deep. I know dodgeball pretty well. You gotta challenge yourself with the references.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
That's also a layup.
I like that one. I like that one.
Keep on going.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of better ones.
Oh, maybe while we do that, we can return to the draft.
I suppose we could do what we're supposed to do here, since we see the double jungle ban coming in from Dignitas. Poppy taken away. This is a pick that we've been seeing slowly come in. You kind of talked about how Peanut's been playing it in the LCK. We saw it earlier today. But Vex is a champion that we got to see in Tahiri yesterday. Played by Ryoma against Hayri's LeBlanc. But this time, it's picked blind. Not actually kind of blind. We expect it to be the Corki in the mid lane, but we also know that Bradley used to be a mid lane player. He could pull a Viper here, flex that into the top lane, and so there's a lot that's been left open where I'm expecting it to be Hayri Corki, but they could pull a fast one easily.
With the Jax and Gwen bans, I was about to say, I think we're going to see a Graves. As Bradley played it in both games yesterday and to much success, so looks to be the Corki mid for Harry, and it is a poke identity already for Team Liquid, but I like the answer that Dignitas has. This hard engage, the depth charge combo with the ultimate from Vex, it's very deadly for the side of Team Liquid, and they'll have to be careful for that early, and Armeo kind of seeing that. We have a health stacker in the jungle, and Volibear, we saw it from Tomio. I was kind of asking around if it was going to be back. Armeo, one of the better Volibear players that we have in Academy, And be back on that pick as well.
I was looking at what you can really draft here as Dignitas because they've got the Volibear on the other side. It can eat up a lot of the dive potential Dignitas have set up for themselves, but you look towards what they really need to do, and that is set up strength in their lanes. This Tryndamere for Eclipse into Graves. We've seen it a couple times as a good counter pick towards Graves' top.
So it's good in lane, but I actually feel like the identity and the comp that Team Liquid has around it is going to be tough for Tryndamere. I mean, you have Karma Mantra shields, you have Volibear stun, and you're going to be able to kite out this Tryndamere rather effectively. So we're going to have to see if Eclipse can pick the right angles as the game goes on. My eyes are fully going to be on this Nautilus, and if Dignitas can combo with JJ, I think that if you are able to make sure that the Nautilus hooks and dredge lines are connecting, the depth charge combo with the Vex ultimate as well, you can easily dogpile onto the side of Team Liquid, get that first kill in a fight, and then keep on having Vex snowball the fight from there with her ultimate.
All right, so there was a trade bug right there, so we're going to just have to wait a little bit of time extra so they can get that all ready for you guys. But, you know, I kind of...
Same chance.
Yeah, I kind of look at this, and honestly, you talked about JJ on this Nautilus, and that is going to be nice with Exio on Jarvan. But it's kind of similar to what we saw just last game when the Volibear got drafted. This is a team that wants to hard engage, and Volibear's fine with that. He's like, come to me, please. I don't have to run at you anymore. I can just stun you once you get here.
It's true, and I mean, even having the Karma to help empower that Volibear as well, it's not a bad combo. Yeah. We saw, I think it was Golden Guardians were the ones that, with Rosethorn and Yunbi last split, were always running like Karma mid with Volibear and Zin. That was their answer in the Xin Zhao. It was the Voldy Karma combo in the mid lane early in summer, and they played that to quite a bit of success. So I know it's the Karma support. We've already seen Ezreal and Karma have success in lane, and I want to see if Team Liquid can kind of use that to at least try and funnel that into other points of the map, because Team Liquid, they have picked priority lanes, right? You have Graves, you have this Ezreal Karma, but you have to be able to do something with that, and Dignitas' onus to execute, having the Jarvan, having the Nautilus, combining this with the Vex. Team Liquid does have to be careful about where they pick their spots when they're going to be pushing up.
They do, and for Team Liquid, they have to make sure they're not getting too far out, so we get to see the champion select again just so you can get an idea of exactly where the roles are. We already really knew, and I'm curious to see Bradley. Those summoners, if he continues to have this is something that you...
This is standard.
This is standard, and I was about to say, this is something you talked about before. This is something that we've seen from Graves into Tryndamere, where you go for Ghost, you go for Exhaust, so that way the Tryndamere can't just all in you.
So this matchup has been being pioneered a lot by LCK and especially the Challengers League, actually, over in Korea. Personally, I'm not a giant fan of Blind Graves. I very much prefer Blind Gragas, but Bradley did play this pick very well yesterday. And of course, Bradley is that role swap from mid top, so still a champion that Bradley's comfortable on, as he is still getting used to that role. And I know that speaking with Bradley, he was kind of funny, like talking about top lane. He's like, yeah, you know, like besides having some counter picks, like put you down 100 CS, like when you're on blue side, I like top lane besides that, right? So at least with Graves, you are able to get your CS in this matchup, and you do have priority early. It's just, as this lane goes on, there are windows where Eclipse can look to find those kills. Right. And let's see if Bradley's been maybe watching some more of that Korean League to make sure that he does know those windows and is able to avoid them, because yesterday he did get solo killed by Renekton at the wrong time in lane. So hopefully Bradley's able to avoid that mistake.
As long as he's able to avoid it as well, this poke composition that Team Liquid have drafted for themselves is going to be hard to crack. If they have good positioning, if they're able to maintain a little bit of distance and constantly harass Dignitas, Dignitas will be forced to fight them. They cannot just sit back and relax and not really do anything. They have to force fights the moment they see them, and that's always a risky situation to be in if you're a team like Dignitas, because you can get baited in. It's really easy, like we talked about with Volibear, to just grab you, say, we're going to lock you down for a while so you don't have that reliable engage anymore.
And especially for the side of Dignitas, we've been talking about how, you know, these depth charge combos with Vex, it's pretty easy to connect those, right? But are there any good targets? Like if Corki has package, you can get out. Yon can create a lot of space. I feel like Karma Graves are the good targets they have, and even those aren't super ideal depending on where we're at. So if Team Liquid gets ahead, I think that it could be tough for Dignitas to get those one-shots, but I want to see what kind of moves XU makes early, because XU has been one of the big surprises that we've had for our rookies kind of debuting in Academy. I mean, he even netted a win on the LCS stage, right? And so I really want to see if actually you can get to work in this one. He kicked off his game yesterday. I think he was 4-0, like the 4-minute mark as Lee Sin in their second game. So we're going to have to see if actually you can get some early action in again. And Mad Magical, you've gotten your wish.
They are all grouped up here. This is what they did in Game 2 against Cloud9. All the members of Cloud9 joined them in this top lane.
Been scouted.
It has been scouted out. They are all now rotating around. Bradley, wise on this one. Quick draws right over the wall. Going to avoid any of these members Dignitas had sent up to the top lane.
And this will enable Team Liquid to potentially get a ward down on the blue side, actually not opting for it. I'm curious if we see a late invade from Team Liquid, because Karma Ezreal level 1, very powerful. And you can at least, even like as the bot lane at Team Liquid, you can walk up there and just land some poke against the bot lane of Dignitas even, as you are trying to play out this lane. So want to see if Yawn and Rhino maybe get a little bit cheesy, do some of that. But
against what you were saying, I got to look at how Dignitas have positioned themselves. Eclipse kind of had postured himself here towards the top side of the map, so be able to spot out where Armeo is, while on the bottom half, they had sent the members of the bot lane for Dignitas Academy into the jungle with XU, expecting exactly what you were talking about. Maybe the possible late invade Yawn and Rhino would have if Armeo was there. They pretty much were able to read any situation Team Liquid could have thrown at them.
And it will lead to early bot priority for Team Liquid, given the fact that there was a leash from Spawn and JJ. So if JJ can connect some dredge lines, that can change it.
From JJ,
beautiful.
Curving the bullet and getting the heal early out of Yawn.
JJ's been really sharp in this early season. Really like to see this out of our players that, you know, I spent some more time in Academy, and I know that JJ, I mean, on this team, Deos is a newer coach. I mean, JJ has all the experience on this roster, and really seeing him, you know, back that up with his play as well. I think it's been a nice start for JJ this season. Want to see if he can continue to keep up this level of performance.
And JJ is one of these players you talked about, you know, he's a veteran here in the Academy split, but he's also a player that has gotten his start back in collegiate, back on the University of Toronto years ago, and he has been a mainstay, and you can see why. Not only his shot calling, what he provides for a team, but he is willing, when unleashed, to play aggressively into the spot lane. And he feels like he's able to do that here with Spawn constantly looking for these dredge lines. In a normal situation that's hard, the Ezreal Karma can chunk them out pretty heavily if left alone.
I like the collegiate reference. We've got 3 collegiate players in this lobby. It's Rhino from FSU, Bradley from Bethany as well. Good to see them finding their way to pro as well. Some of those standouts in the league, but going to focus more on the Rift now, as both junglers just opting for a full clear, each deciding to skip over a camp, respectively, and see if Armeo picks up those Krugs reset. Rather boring start to the map, which honestly favors, I'd say it favors Dignitas early. The fact that they were able to find something in the bot lane and force an early reset out of Yawn, I think really sets them up nicely, as that is now a place where that heals down. They could try and look to find some pressure there.
Sees Bradley, spins to win over the wall. Gotta get an exhaust out of him. A lot of damage traded back and forth, but you gotta be careful. Even if you have a heal for Eclipse, it could gotten dicey pretty fast. And
Eclipse, of course, with that Q, able to heal up A-OK against the Graves, who just has the fleet of footwork to sustain. Armeo, though, does have the opportunity to try and impact this top lane as he is pathing back towards his Gromp. Of course, it is the mirrored starts for these junglers. So right now, XU and Armeo both on time, as we're going to have to see who makes the first move onto the Rift outside these camps.
It looks like the top lane is pretty volatile at the moment. Both of them are waiting to see who engages on who first. A little bit of damage.
He's got wards.
They got wards, but I'm just thinking that the 1v1. I don't even think that they're waiting for junglers. I think that they're just waiting to see when the opportunity is to fight their opponent in an advantageous spot by themselves.
XU actually hovering bot there tells me that they know where Armeo started, but they were seeing if Armeo was going to flip the map and go bot to support that on the crash. Instead, he is up top and will force Eclipse off of this wave and grant Bradley a nice reset if he wants it.
A good read from Eclipse, like you said, though. The wards were able to spot out that Armeo was on the top side. Still hanging out here. Eclipse isn't too worried.
He's going to get the camp.
He'll get the camp. but you can kind of keep an eye on where XU is at the moment and what kind of play he wants to make further. I expect to see soon that once they notice that Armeo is still topside, they could have just booked it immediately for the Dragon. But instead, they're still playing it passively. They're not trying to risk anything at the moment. And that's unusual, in my opinion, for Dignitas. I'm so used to this team playing so aggressively right out of the gates. You saw the attempt at that level 1, but even there, when it wasn't successful, you usually see them try to find something else, some advantage elsewhere, and they just haven't been able to do so yet.
Well, Armeo at least was able to net Bradley a decent recall with his first appearance. Put himself a little bit behind, but as the Volibear, you're okay with that.
Right.
And they do have the potential to look for a timer here, as Spawn is yet to reset. Still sitting on all those potions, but if Yawn and Rhino are able to get some shove or force Dignitas to reset, this is a good timer for Armeo to look for the Dragon, as XU is on the top side, and Team Liquid Academy should be able to reasonably assume this.
Hook fished out there by JJ. He is looking for these, and I respect that. As an Nautilus player myself, I respect that he's always looking for these targets anytime they step up to try to clear out the waves, but XU is going to find Armeo as they try to fight around the crab. Got to get the flash. No flash followed up just yet, but Bradley's on the other side. All the while, a little bit of a trade in the bot lane, but I don't think they're going to go for anything further just yet, as Bradley has to see if he can get himself over the wall to escape. Crab's still being fought over by both teams.
It will be XU's. I do respect the early flash from XU as well. I understood that, hey, I just flag and dragged for this crab. It did not end up paying off, right? I had no other way to escape. So the fact that he flashes out early actually is what nets him the crab in the end.
Yeah, it does.
And now, Harry trading pretty aggressively here as XU is going to make his way in.
Not that much mana, but does have a lot of damage. Valkyrie away as the pull back in the bot lane. Rhino taking a lot of damage. Got to be careful, even though he's underneath the turret. There's a lot of damage coming in from Spawn and JJ themselves. Little mana. Forcing themselves back away, kiting it as best they can, but they're taking a lot of damage from Yawn and Rhino on the way out.
That's actually pretty big for Team Liquid as they burned out both summoner spells, but XU looking to come in here and salvage this. They have everyone low. Rhino flashed forward.
Looking for the root. He got the flash away from Spawn. They've got a lot of damage. First blood's picked up by Yawn in the 2v2 situation, flashing over the wall to try to get Spawn before XU could go up. He's here now in a bad spot, trying to fight back against Yawn and Rhino. He might have a level lead. He might have a Cataclysm, but I don't think he wants to continue this fight, especially because the shields and the cooldowns are there. He's got a lot of damage on Yawn, but he's still alive. That's the shield. That's the root. Looking for the damage. Waiting to fight it out. It will be a shutdown for XU, but he dies all the same.
We talked about the early aggression, and I like that XU is pathing down here, but the Dignitas bot lane, they just didn't wait for their jungler to get here in time. And to be fair, Team Liquid Academy, they were the ones forcing the issue as Rhino, the preemptive flash in. The aggression from this bot lane, seeing that window, that's what nets them the 3-for-1 trade in the end. And Team Liquid Academy's bot lane looking like a honestly new players this week, as Rhino really had a tough time in week 1, but this is a great play coming out from him.
And looking at this replay, honestly, I respect JJ looking for this, but Rhino getting the flash out of Spawn wins them this fight.
Not only that, but JJ, he just can't follow, right? I mean, there's nothing that he can do once Spawn has to flash out, and XU, the idea was good, right? I think Dignitas wanted to put them under the tower and dive, which XU has 6, very strong at the moment, could do so, but Team Liquid Academy's bot lane, they break it on their own. Really well played by them.
And here, that's 3 kills that they're able to pick up in the spot lane. Even if John died, he's 2-1-1 here. He's come back into the lane. He's got his Sheen, got the Tear of the Goddess as well, the Hearthbound Axe. He's in a great position in this lane to fight back against Spawn, where they were getting bullied out a little bit unexpectedly against Yawn and against Spawn and JJ. Now, Yawn and Rhino have a far greater edge in this lane.
And as we get back out onto the Rift, we have a trade going on as Dragon taken by Dignitas, and now they're looking to push the advantage in the bot lane.
Level 6 this time, and looking a lot better. True Shot Barrage gets a lot of damage. The root attempted onto JJ. He'll die all the same, so it's a 1-for-1 trade in the bot lane.
He'll still take that. It's positive for Dignitas, not ideal, but I like the fact they're at least keeping Spawn on the map and taking Yawn off of it as they get the Dragon, get that kill. Rift Herald, though, was secured by Armeo, and curiously enough, Eclipse actually picked up this red buff. So, really, a lot of priority being put into this Tryndamere and helping Eclipse to, I think, try and close the gap. I mean, this makes things very scary for the Graves if Tryndamere has red buff.
It does. He can't really fight against them anymore, and he's pulling the wave. He's going to make it so that it's a little bit further frozen. denying as much as he can towards Bradley and possibly putting the fear into him that he is going to look for that 1v1 fight again.
So we take a deep breath here. A couple resets coming out. I want to see if Armeo tries to go bot. Because Spawn and JJ do not have flash. And Armeo, Yawn right now can try and push this wave in, get it to bounce, and potentially set up for Armeo to get a really big playoff here. I think that if Team Liquid Academy break this bot lane again, they're going to have a huge advantage on the Rift. And you can see Armeo after doing these Krugs. Rhino's clearing out some of these wards already. Yawn's unfortunately looking for a reset, as I believe that he has that Trinity Force ready to go. So this will break it, but
There it is.
least opens up Rhino and Armeo to move as a team as they're making their way mid.
Looking to see where they can use that Rift Herald that they grabbed earlier. You talked about that Armeo had gotten. All the while, the Dragon had been taken by Dignitas. So even on the neutral objective so far, we just got to see how Team Liquid use this Rift Herald and how they get that extra bit of gold.
And we're back to this posturing over the bot river. As I know we're looking at top right now, but
Okay,
JJ
X Flash. Oh,
looking real
missing
aggressive.
the dredge line. Even though Spawn was on the
Ooh.
other side waiting, he had that little bit of range that he could utilize. Even if it is the red gun and not the best range, it's still enough. They needed that dredge line to work if they actually wanted to commit fully for the fight.
Now you can see, I mean, the big cooldown that's down at the moment is Spawn's flash. And that's what Team Nick was looking to punish, but Dignitas, they want to be first to it. They have
Flash,
numbers.
They get the flash out of Rhino. Just going to be a whiff of 2 ults on the side of Dignitas. No longer having that. Darkwings is still posturing, waiting for that Shadow Surge.
Yawn?
He's looking for Rhino and Yawn on the other side. They've got the flash away, but they got the root and they've got a lot of damage. They might trade for Darkwing's life. 1 for 1 at the moment. With Harry on the other side, no package available. He's only going to be able to hurt them with the rockets from a little bit of distance.
I like the aggression from Dignitas, but I feel like they aren't winning any plays off of this, right? And it's opening up windows for Team Liquid now to punish afterwards as Armeo gets the crab. So many flashes are down, and Armeo is still sitting on his flash. So I really want to see what Armeo ends up doing with this, because I think that he has the opportunity to heavily snowball the mid lane. I'm looking at Darkwings as the big target, as if he can sync up with Harry to try and shut down this Vex, I really think that after the next base, they're going to have the damage to try and take Vex out. And that could be where Team Liquid really starts to surmount an advantage on the Rift, because they have a 1k gold lead, which, of course, isn't that huge at the moment. But if you look at the summoner spells they have available to them versus their opponents, they have the ability to playmake on the Rift.
And it's honestly been impressive from the side of Team Liquid, despite the fact that Yawn is the only member to die so far for his team. He's also been a part of every single kill. I mean, literally, all 5 kills for his team and all 3 kills of the other team. He's someone who's been able to fight back in these situations that normally would seem so dire, and that allows this Corki to have free reign in the mid lane. Top lane.
That is something that you would point out, like being, 100% KP both ways. That's the Mad Max stat.
But the thing is, that helps out the rest of the map. Harry's doing fine. He's gotten 1 assist to get some gold there from the plates. Top lane is not nearly as devastating as you'd normally think on the surface. The Tryndamere with Graves into him. Jungle, you already got the Turbo Chem Take now completed by Armeo, so he can look for these further ganks, and as we've already talked about before, not necessarily having to, because they're going to come to him in the first place.
Actually, one of the curious things I'm seeing at the moment is, first off, Kraken Slayer for Eclipse. That's usually a Gale Force on the Tryndamere, but the Divine Sunder on the Corki.
That's interesting.
This is a new item rush. I have not seen this anywhere.
Neither have I.
I guess you're against, like, 2 health stackers, and I know that, obviously, Sheen, thinking of old school Corki and the Trinity Force Corki, even when Corki was played bot, interacts pretty well with your ability to spam, but kind of have to keep our eyes out on how this one does.
Second Dragon barely secured there. Yawn and Rhino, they had that synergy. They both sent out their skill shots at the same time, just a little bit too late to steal it away from XU. So with 2 dragons in the inventory of Dignitas Academy, despite the fact that they are behind 2,000 gold here at just shy of 15 minutes into the game, they still have this opportunity to control the map, to look for these plays and to force any issue into Team Liquid before they're able to group up and set up a lot of the poke and harass that they can have in any siege.
And Harry is sitting on the package right now, so I want to see if Harry is able to utilize this to help Team Liquid secure that Rift Herald, or maybe even dive bot, as Armeo is taking away the blue buff of XU right now, and they have Karma Yawn shoving in. Do they look to... No? All right.
No need. I mean,
Okay, no action.
no action just yet. The thing is, I think the only action we're really going to see is around that Rift Herald. Look at the pathing coming in from Armeo and Harry already. They're both booking it towards the top side, while Eclipse is going to try to equate the blue buff for blue buff. He's put himself really far out. Bradley can easily flank him. He might have Undying Rage, but Armeo, he's a fast bear. He is chasing it down, galloping with the flash too. That's going to be the Undying Rage, but that will eventually time out. Even if you have the flash, they're making sure that you have no escape. Collateral damage kill for Bradley.
Good play from Armeo as he was going from blue to blue. Caught Eclipse, getting a little bit greedy on that side. Able to get the punish. Now Rift Herald is started as Harry. The package ended up not being used, so this does potentially open Dignitas up to punish elsewhere. And XU, I think Bradley's in a bad spot.
Bradley's in a very bad spot. Already having used flash and ult, but Armeo can save his life. Sky Splitter is used, and look at that shield that comes in with the Immortal Shield bow to make sure Bradley is A-okay.
Do like the Cataclysm and the flag and drag out from XU. That guarantees that he's able to get out without using his flash, as Bradley could have chased him if he didn't put him in. What would you call the Cataclysm? Like the dueling grounds? You know? The 1v1v, bro?
No, that's Mordekaiser. I mean...
that is true. But that's the death round.
More like
you don't want to go in
there.
there.
It's more like the Thunderdome, right?
Okay, I can go with that.
Yeah, it's more like the Thunderdome, because it's okay if more people join you, but...
It's an OG Dunk Squad member as well.
Yeah, I remember.
I
remember those days playing Kha'Zix as well with Darius, Jarvan. A lot of fun. A lot of...
Kha'Zix?
I already said Kha'Zix.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, that was the best yeah, that was the best Dunk Squad member.
Oh yeah, the resets you used to be able to get, so much fun.
Oh,
but
yeah. Tristana.
Oh, Tristana, AP Tristana too. That was always a lot of fun. I still play my AP Tristana. Not nearly as good. But
oh god. Okay, moving on.
Here in this game right now, we're getting more of a lead for the side of Team Liquid. Though I am a little sad. My fun stat of Yawn being involved in every single one of the kills and deaths is no longer there because they were able to get that kill onto Eclipse in top lane.
I feel like that's for the best, Mad Magical.
Is it though?
We'll leave that one up to the viewers.
They'll have to decide that one.
I mean, props to Team Liquid, right? Because when we saw this draft, we saw both sides, and we kind of said, you know what? They have a lot of priority. What can they do with this? And as we are moving into the mid game, it is a pretty nice gold lead for the side of Team Liquid Academy. They are up 2.5K. The only thing that they're going to be staring down now is the dragon stacking that Dignitas has been able to do early, as XU and JJ going to get around Rhino and Yawn, but Armeo's here to cover, and no play will come of it.
A nice blue trinket from Yawn. Noticing, hey, there's no support here. I'm betting JJ's looking for a flank angle, and sure enough, he was. Denies that from Dignitas, so they have to go back to the drawing point. And I think that's been the biggest problem we've had for Dignitas in this game.
It's kind of what we mentioned earlier, right? It's tough for Nautilus to find targets.
And here, even though he's gotten some good laning hooks, we haven't really seen it net too much. Sure, there was that early fight where it was chaotic, it was crazy, but it benefited Team Liquid more than anything. They got 3 total kills from that play, while they only got the 1 onto Yawn. And then later on, again, another hook didn't really get them anything. So it's allowed Team Liquid this time to scale up, to get these leads. Even if they're incremental, they're starting to add up one by one by one. That tier 1 in mid lane falling to Harry uncontested is going to be a detrimental thing for Dignitas to actually set up full control and actually engage.
And it makes the next dragon all the more important for Dignitas, and we're going to have to keep our eyes out. They do have 4 out of the 5 flashes up. Let's see if JJ, Darkwings, and XU can get that combo, land that Thunderdome, and make sure that Vex is starting to get resets. As Team Liquid will take the red buff for themselves and then look to try and contest.
Got to be careful, though. There's a lot of poke on the side of Team Liquid. With the 4,000 gold lead nearly, it's 3,000 here. They got the pull coming in on Armeo, but the TP behind from Harry. He's going to be a speedy boy getting back into this fight with XU, taking a lot of damage. He's got the package, so he can easily get into this pit. They've got the Thunderdome, but you know who likes the Thunderdome? Package Corki, right on top of Darkwings. Goes golden. It's a 2-for-1 at the moment, but they're going to be able to take down Darkwing, so make it a 2-for-2. The flash in onto Armeo. He's bouncing around, but he is a tanky boy, trying to survive the best he can, but the pull coming in from JJ to be able to bring back in Harry, who flashed onto XU. He couldn't do it. It's a shutdown for Eclipse. 3 still alive, only Yawn on the other side.
And Dignitas are able to make this fight work because Yawn could never join. And now Yawn He's playing with fire a little bit. Knows
They're
that
low,
all the
though.
flaches are down on the side of
There's
Dignitas.
no undying rage either.
Look at the
from his
positioning.
blitz. He's trying his
Let him hit the
best.
dragon.
He was trying his best to see if he could steal it away and get as much damage onto the Dignitas members. But that was a great fight out of Dignitas to make sure that they kite back consistently, re-engage. As you can see here, it starts off with the pull onto Armeo.
I love how Dignitas are just in sync, right? I know that the engage does not connect on Armeo, but the fact that they choose him first and then they go on Bradley, everyone's on the right person. And I think that's what enables this fight to be okay for Dignitas. That and Darkwings bought a lot of time for the rest of the squad to reposition. And from here, it's just the Tryndamere shredding. So, I mean, props to the side of Dignitas for, I mean, honestly having a pretty nice fight. Harry and Jan were just never able to really, truly get involved together, you know, firing all that poke out. And when you're up against a poke squad, that's what you need to do as Dignitas. Fight early and make sure that those fights are clean. They were able to execute it there, got themselves that soul point, so now they could get soul for the rest of the game. And unfortunately for them, Team Liquid will keep on getting more gold in their coffers, but at least we see Dignitas win that fight, take that dragon. They really needed that to give themselves a good chance in this one.
The fact they were behind, yet winning the fight is a big statement for them. To make sure that they're staying relatively within range of Team Liquid and not falling too far behind. But they've got to continue that, because if they relent at any point, the poke is going to start coming through for Team Liquid. If we look at the inventories, you can see double up on the Manas now, finished for Team Liquid.
Ooh. That's a big thing to highlight, as you can start to see. This is Harry just with the evolved Muramana itself laying down this damage. Already going to zone Dignitas off of this turret, and I like how Team Liquid, you know, off of that lost team fight, this has been a really nice deploy from them, right? What does our comp do well? We siege. We had our spikes. Let's group up. Let's get some objectives for ourselves. Dignitas now looking to answer.
do well in fights, though. XU takes a lot of damage immediately. The Ignite is ticking, and he's dead to Hayri, and here comes the engage from Darkwings on the other side. Rhino taking a lot of damage coming in from Spawn. He's in the middle of the fight against Armeo with the re-engage of potential onto Hayri. Nobody wants to follow up, though. They have to wait it out. It's just going to be the typical 1-for-1 at the moment.
And Jan got caught out there a little bit, right? Died with flash up, and that enabled Dignitas to trade 1-for-1, trade up, mind you, with that, taking the Ezreal off the table. And Dignitas can reset, have a few more summoner spells down they can look to punish, as both Rhino and Armeo flash there. Keep in mind, we said that Rhino is probably the best target for JJ. You get a second look at this one. They're fighting on red-white, trying to catch him off, and that was a weird arcane shift from Jan, trying to get into the fight instead of going over the wall to keep himself safe. It was kind of a one-way trip for him, so bit of a mistake from the young AD out of Team Liquid Academy, and let's see if he can bounce back in the next one, as we're going to get a fight here guaranteed in 2 minutes over this dragon.
Someone is going to get a dragon here soon, and if Dignitas can manage that, they've already got a lot of damage. Their engage has been looking pretty good, even though XU took a lot of damage immediately when he jumped in there. The fact that you had mentioned it perfectly. Jan jumped in himself and got himself caught out, allowed Dignitas to at least be able to hold their own on the map, not really lose out on the potential Baron that could have immediately been turned by Team Liquid.
And you can see, as we prep for this dragon, wait?
Hayri?
What do we got?
Is this new tech that I'm seeing from Corki?
Okay, well, you'd get a slow on your auto attacks, can help buy some space. But I guess it's a little bit of crit. I'm trying to decipher where we're at.
We'll have to keep our mind on that one, because you can see the damage that comes in. It's still a good amount of damage, regardless of the Lunar Tempest or not. They're still able to do a lot with those big ones from his missile cannon barrages. Cannon barrages, missile barrage. That's what. Always get them mixed up.
I mean, if he's able to get autos off, it could be a nice way for him and Jan to combo. Having the slow pretty much guarantees that you're going to land those rockets and mystic shots. So maybe that's the thought process here for Harry. But regardless, we're going to get to see it in action soon, as we have resets coming out. Prep for this dragon. Dignitas grouping up as 5, trying to take control of this bot river. And important that they're going to be able to do so, as Harry is resetting now to make sure that he has the package, can TP back, but does give Dignitas a chance to get in the river and dodge out on some of the poke from Ezreal and Corki, which at this point, very significant on the map.
We talked about dodgeball before, and this is where Dignitas really need to learn their lessons from that movie and dodge every skill shot possible, because taking too much of that is going to force them off the potential soul that they want to fight over against Team Liquid.
Team Liquid seems to be bowling their way in here as Armeo pops the Chemtech to get a chunk onto Eclipse. Not able to connect with the stun. Harry, though, with this package, as long as he has the package, it's so difficult for Dignitas to walk in this choke.
And they start up the Dragon. They force Dignitas' hands if they want to secure themselves the soul. JJ was almost able to get the attempted fight with the Cataclysm into the middle. They missed the ults, though. They're not going to be able to root anybody. Get a little bit of damage into the backline. Yon's over the wall, though. He's going to be able to poke them back out. Armeo now has to run back. They've already lost 1 kill on a Rhino. Eclipse continues to chase the flash away. No longer is he raging, though. He is now silenced in the fight as the rest of Dignitas have to run. They can no longer fight against Team Liquid.
Important thing for Team Liquid, they got the Dragon, right? You prevented that Infernal Soul from going over to the side of Dignitas as the Dig's very low off the reset, so we're going to have to see if Team Liquid can potentially take any more objectives. I'm looking at that outer turret going in their favor as well as we get the replay. It's nice of JJ to force the package away from the rest of his team, but look at Team Liquid Academy's immediate response. The flash away from the skill shots from Spawn's ultimate and Darkwing's ult as well, I think really helped them stay alive on the backside of the pit and make sure they were able to take down Eclipse, who was rampaging the backline as well. So nice preemptive flashes, pay off big from both of the carries of Team Liquid.
And they only trade 1-for-1, and it was Rhino for Eclipse. Big wins for the side of Team Liquid, delaying the game, delaying that a potential soul that Dignitas could have grabbed for themselves, and it also nets control around the other parts of the map. We can see how they are now posturing to set up a little bit of vision so they can look to harass Dignitas further.
And I will say, I'm a bit concerned now for the side of Dignitas, specifically for the next couple minutes, because I think that this is where Team Liquid can really start to look at the Baron as a way to kind of combat the Tryndamere split push. Because at this point of the game, now that Tryndamere is on those Navori quick blades, once he finishes the Infinity Edge, which I expect next, that's when he becomes a menace, right? I want to see if Team Liquid can kind of poke and prod the Baron at all to try and land bait Dignitas into their poke. They don't want to fight, so it would be a dangerous dance, but ultimately if you're Team Liquid, you have to use your poke tools to try and maintain control over the rift, and we're gonna have to see if they can do it with this ARAM mid at the moment.
They saw Bradley bot lane. Eclipse is here on the top half of the map. He started up the Baron himself by lonesome. He's gonna be able to heal up. Bradley is a long way off. No TP.
2 control wars to get to.
They can just force a fight here.
Oh, we actually have Harry TPing out of base as Armeo.
See what they can get. Armeo, though, he's a tanky boy. Even if he gets rooted there, he can get the shield from the Sky Splitter, and he will force off Dignitas. They cannot take the objective because they saw Bradley in mid.
And immediately, Team Liquid Academy grouping up as for going for that mid inner turret in response. Good play from them to make sure they're going to get something on the back half.
This is why it's so hard for Dignitas to play into Team Liquid. Their composition, the poke that can come out from them, plus the mobility. They have such a great setup around these zones.
And for them, starting Baron is so dangerous because that magic damage debuff, when you're going up against a Corki Ezreal in the Baron pit, I mean, that is just shooting fish in a barrel for the side of Team Liquid Academy. So if they want to start up the Baron, they have to make sure that JJ and Darkwings are in the right position to have a clean engage. Weren't able to do that time. That's why Team Liquid Academy comes out on top of that trade. Gonna have to see if they can do it next time. But before we get Baron dances, I think we're back to the Dragon.
The thing that bothers me, though, here for Dignitas, where they try to set that up, that was a good time because there's no package to worry about Harry. The next fighter, be it the Dragon or Baron,
that's very true.
The package is going to be up.
That is a good point. And I think that Harry is appropriately making sure that the package timer is pretty synced up with these Dragons as Team Liquid Academy recognizing that giving up Infernal Soul is really the way for Dignitas to get back in this game.
Exactly. And that's why I'm just watching this, and I can tell that Dignitas, they don't want to play too greedy and get themselves caught out, and I respect that. But you're on a timer. The package is going to be there for Harry at the time that this Dragon will too. He doesn't have TP, but he's going to be a speedy boy and be able to get back onto the Rift fast enough to be able to utilize that as an advantage over this zone.
All right, Mad Magical. Package is up. Also, Rapid Fire Cannon. This makes more sense for the Storm Razor, as now you get the bonus range and the slow And if you are able to auto into a big rocket for Harry,
He's waiting.
I think that could be really significant for the side. As thank you to our observers for showing Harry just kind of chilling in base. And this is smart from Harry.
It is. He's just waiting it out because he knows that it's only so much time that he has with the package anyways. And so now he's using this to be able to get back onto the rift really quickly. They noticed that with the sirens that, hey, he's picked up the package, and it's only 20 seconds until that the dragon's going to spawn.
And let's see if this poke can connect from Harry, as an auto and a rocket is going to be doing some big chunkage as XU
wants to force out the package. They want to make sure they can get rid of that before the dragon spawns, but it's so difficult to get in there. Look at JJ. He has to go golden to be able to survive, and now they're in a choke point. They have to be careful because that's a lot of damage that can come in from Harry, from Yawn. They've got the package onto XU, and no jungler there. That means there's not going to be that control over the objective, so it's going to be Team Liquid themselves starting up the Baron.
And I love the fact that Bradley is making sure to secure this Infernal as well. A little bit greedy from Team Liquid going for both at once, but with the jungler down, I think they can afford it. Look out for Darkwing's ult, though.
Channeling the Hex Flash. There's JJ over the wall. Shadow Surge. It tags Harry. The Fear 2. But they've got the Dragon on one side. They're looking to complete the fight. Armeo has not left the pit. He wants to be able to smite it down. He's going to be able to get the Baron for the team. The Undying Rage on the other side from Eclipse, but he's still alive. Kiting away from Yawn. Here's going to be the Bear, though, to chase down the big scary man, and he is not scary anymore. Bradley, that entire time, has been able to show back up to the fight, and he's got the damage for the team. Dignitas, they gotta run for the hills, but there's nowhere to go. Double kill for Bradley. Spawn tries to be a hero, but he can't. Triple kill out of Bradley.
And you can see the bounties are available soon, but it might be too late for Dignitas as they get kited and routed in that fight. Bradley got the triple after taking that dragon, by the way, making his way all the way back here. And Team Liquid Academy, their ability to utilize the Karma, utilize their poke tools, and one mistake from XU was all they needed to break this one wide open.
XU puts them into the Thunderdome, but they don't care. They've got enough range, and Bradley, he's chasing down XU on official quadra kill with the ace, and with Baron, Team Liquid suddenly turned this one around, and they're going to be able to take game one over Dignitas as they pad the KDAs at the very end. Eclipse, he might be raging, but this game is over. This game is Team Liquid's.
I don't know if I would say that, they came back in this one. Like, all of a sudden they won. They'd have to come back from some dragons being down that, but they kept on taking the heralds, right? It was trades across the map. Team Liquid were getting gold where they needed it, making plays with priority. And ultimately, when you get the gold early and you're just waiting for those tiers to evolve, that's exactly what happened as Team Liquid I really want to credit them for picking their fight timers correctly. I feel like when Dignitas Academy had to really push the pedal to the metal was after those mythic items, and Team Liquid had a bit of a gold lead, so it delayed when Dignitas could look for that. Also makes it harder for you to find the right angles, and the first fights, being the one-for-ones, not falling victim to the depth charge plus Vex combo. Team Liquid really navigated that game pretty well on their end, and it paid off in the end as they were able to find that win after a big package from Harry.
How about I change my terminology? A sudden win. Is that better?
Okay, there we go. Yeah. They won that quickly.
It was close until it wasn't, and then they suddenly won. Team Liquid take game one. We're going to toss a break. When we come back, we'll have more halftime action. We're going to have our halftime show with Kangas, so stick around.